listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Good evening, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you on this Thursday evening, April the 24th? Night one of the NFL draft is in the books, and the Miami Dolphins built up the trenches with one big sumbitch in round one of pick 13. It's Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. We're going to break it down on tonight's show and also talk about some of the names that are still out there who might be in play Friday at pick 48 for the Dolphins. I am your host, Michael Leva, joined by Tom Ernest. Tom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Not angry. I'm not angry, Tom, tonight. I think it was
not grumpy Tom.
I'm not grumpy, Tom. I think it was a good pick overall. I know a lot of people were upset that it wasn't, who they wanted. But in the end, the Dolphins did get a position of need. They got a very good player, a guy that can develop into maybe something very promising in the future, but he's a day one starter. The Dolphins needed someone on the interior of the defensive line, and they got, like you said, Mike, quote, a big sumbitch to play
they did
for the defensive line.
Yep, and we'll talk about all that on tonight's show. But before we do that, first off at the top, I want to give a big thank you to everyone who joined us on the live stream tonight in round one. Josh, Aaron, myself, Zach Krantz, Tom joined us. Big E, Ian Berger joined us as well. Thank you to everyone who joined us on the live stream. We had a lot of people on our live stream, and we had some fun with that. And we're going to do the same thing Friday night as well. Friday night, it's going to move a little quicker because there's less time on the clock. So join early at 7 because I don't know how long we're going to stay on past pick 48 because pick 90 is just a long night. So, but we're going to do it again. So thank you. But for right now, if you're listening to this show or watching it live on YouTube, let's take a second and smash a like button. Everyone smash a like button right now if you're watching on YouTube. And also, please be sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so when we do go live Friday night, you can join us and watch. And also, we're giving away prizes. I gave away not one, but 2 Fire Chris Greer shirts tonight on our live stream. And I got more stuff to give away Friday. Also, shout out sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Go to the website, caneswear.com, for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel. Whether it's a t-shirt, hoodie, or you want a Kenneth Grant jersey, jackets, coats, shorts, swim trunks, socks, anything with the Miami Dolphins logo for your home or any piece of apparel, caneswear.com. They ship internationally as well, so if you don't live in the United States, don't worry, they will ship it to you. They also got stuff for the Hurricanes, the Heat, the Florida Panthers, the Miami, and the Marlins as well, caneswear.com. And real quick, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, $3 a month. You get interactive podcast, bonus shows, private message board. It's only $3 a month. We have a lot of fun, and we give away prizes there too. Autographs, bobbleheads, all that good stuff. So patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. All right, we got some of your thoughts on the pick. Let me share mine, and then we'll dive into this Kenneth Grant pick a little more. First off, I like the pick. Is it a home run pick? No, but it's a solid pick nonetheless. I would call it, if we're putting it in sports terms, a stand-up double, with the potential of it being like a home run. I think what Miami needed is people movers, and they got a people mover. This team is soft. The players who play for this team have called it soft. Players currently on this team have called it soft. You don't want that soft label? Get big some bitches you put on the offensive line and the defensive line. They only had one pick tonight. They could only add one of them, and they added one in Kenneth Grant. Did they take him a little earlier than the quote-unquote experts thought he should have gone? Yeah, maybe. But experts are sometimes wrong. And I don't mind the pick. And this draft board tonight in round one felt great for Miami. Because when Miami's on the clock at 13, both of the corners they're looking at, Jahdae Barron and Will Johnson are there. Tyler Warren was there. Gray Zabel was there. And all 3 defensive tackles, Grant, Nolan, and Harmon, were there. And as I said on this podcast all week, with shows I did by myself, shows I did with Josh Moser, shows I did with Ian Berger, you cannot fill every need with one pick. They got 9 more picks. They're going to draft Friday night 2 more rounds, and then they're going to draft a bunch more rounds on Saturday. They had to start somewhere, and this is the somewhere they started. And this kid, I think, has a high floor, but he also has a high ceiling. I don't think he'll be a bust. I don't think this is Charles Harris. I don't think this is Jason Allen. I don't think this is Deion Jordan. Could I be wrong? Of course, we don't know. They just made the pick an hour or so back. Who knows? But I don't think, from what I've read up on him and stuff, and you hear what these other people say, he's going to be a bust. At worst, he's a capable starter for 4 or 5 years. At best, he's a cornerstone you build around. And yeah, you don't want the soft label. You invest in the trenches, and you get big guys. You can't lose Christian Wilkins. You can't lose Calais Campbell and do nothing. They had to do something, and they didn't do anything in March. They let everyone go, from Hand to Campbell. They didn't replace anybody. You pretty much had Zach Sealer, and no offense to the family and friends of Benito Jones, he stinks. They have Zach Sealer and nobody else. Now they got Zach Sealer and Kenneth Grant, and it's a start. And I think with these 9 more picks, they'll probably draft another defensive tackle at some point. But this is a people mover who is really athletic. And I think Grant and Sealer is a nice start to rebuilding this defensive line. And yes, rebuilding, because that's what this year is. It's a rebuild year. I don't care what Chris Greer says. He's a liar. He's going to say what he has to say. He ain't going to tell you the truth. It's a rebuild year. So let's rebuild in the trenches first and take it from there. So with pick 13, I have no problem with this pick. Do I love the pick? I'm not going to say I love it, but I like it. I like it. And it's a good pick. And I'm not going to complain about Kenneth Grant to Miami pick 13. I think it's a solid selection, Tom.
Yeah, it was a solid selection. Now, for me, I would think that there could have been an opportunity to trade down if the Bears didn't take Colston Loveland at 10. I think that would open up the possibility of, maybe Denver trading up to take Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland. So the Dolphins' trade value kind of went away with the Bears taking Loveland at 10. But I think overall it was, like you said, it was a very solid pick. It was a much needed pick. This guy is massive. Pairing him next to Zach Sealer is ideal. And hopefully in those games where you're, November and December and the beginning of January, where you have to be able to stop the run, the Dolphins found a guy that can stop the run and cause havoc on the interior of that defensive line, which will open up pass rush lanes for guys like Zach Sealer, for potentially blitzing linebackers like Bradley Chubb, like a Jalen Phillips. You could use Jordan Brooks in that role too. There are so many possibilities with a guy that can anchor the middle of the defensive line. Grant is a player I didn't expect. I thought Walter Nolan may have been the pick if they were going defensive line there, as Nolan shot up draft boards. Grant is a very solid pick. He played in a very tough conference in college. He played for really good coaches, and that defense in Michigan was one of the best for the last, couple of years, especially since he arrived on the scene. He, was second team Big Ten in 2023. Yeah, 2024 was a year Michigan fans in particular would like to forget after they won the national title in 2023. But Kenneth Grant still stood out with Mason Graham as his running mate. Those two were a very good pairing, and Grant should make a difference on day one for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know he's not a perfect prospect. And guess what? None of these kids really are, okay? They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. There's a lot of strengths here that play into what we just took. And, yeah, he's going to have to work on the weaknesses. The weight's one of them. Sometimes when he gets too heavy, he can't play the all 3 downs. He has to come off the field. Well, they're going to have to watch that, obviously, with him. And there's some other things he's going to have to work on technically. But for the most part, this is a big, athletic, dancing bear on the defensive side of the ball. And this is what the Dolphins need. Again, they had to start somewhere. This is the first pick of 10. Let's make trades. It's the first pick of 10, and from here they can pivot and look at other positions. And I'm sure, look, they're not done on defensive line. Here's the other thing with this pick. Chris Greer even said it at his press conference last week. This is a process. There's that they're going to sign guys after May 1st. Why after May 1st? Because anybody you sign after May 1st doesn't count against the compensatory pick formula. Now, right now, it don't really matter because they're not going to get a compensatory pick from how it looks right now. So it doesn't matter. But that's like on next what? No, it's going to be when's May 1st? That's
7 days from now.
7 days from now. So they're going to make their draft. They're going to bring the kids in. They're going to talk to them. And then by the time that's done, they're going to look at the roster again and say, who are you going to sign? And you look out there, again, at their four needs: safety, corner, offensive line, and line there on the other side of the ball. Who's available? Well, you got some corners. They're old, but you got corners. Safeties, got some guys who are going to want a lot of money, but there's guys out there. You can hopefully maybe get them down in price a little bit. Offensive lineman, there's a couple guards. Guess what there's not anything of? Defensive line. That's why I think Chris Greer put himself in a corner with this pick, kind of like the year, and this wasn't him, this was someone else. They took Juwan James in round 1 because they just ignored right tackle the entire offseason, let guys go. It's like, well, it's round 1. We have to take a right tackle. I kind of feel this is similar to that, although with a much, much higher quality player, that they need multiple guys on this defensive line. And whether it's 10 picks or they trade one away or trade some to move up, whatever, they're going to take 2 or 3 when this is all said and done, because there's really no veterans to sign. Yeah, there's John Jenkins, Raekwon Davis, who's hurt, and who they just let go. And there's also, who else? Zadarius Smith, more of an end. So there's a couple, but they're really nothing special. Right. Well, you can sign a guard who might be okay. You can sign a safety who's probably going to be pretty good if they want to. Or you can sign an old corner as well. So this pick, there's more to it than just take it's like, what can we do next week? And what can we do now in this draft? And it's a puzzle. And look, Chris Greer has been bad at the puzzle, but I understand his logic. Let's just hope he's got it right for once.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed he might get it right one of these times. But again, you can't hate the pick, because the Dolphins put themselves in this position in regards of having to draft for need. With Tyler Warren sitting there at 13, a part of me was just like, oh, come on, let's go. This kid is...
Yeah, wouldn't have been a bad pick. I know fans have been mad. That wouldn't have been a bad pick, though.
But the problem is the Dolphins set themselves up where they didn't have the luxury to take a tight end at 13. They had to take the defensive lineman. They had to take the corner. Or they had to take an offensive lineman. There was a big run on offensive linemen early. Kelvin Banks going in the top 10 was kind of surprising, personally. And then Booker goes the pick before the Dolphins are supposed to pick. Cowboys snagged Tyler Booker from Alabama, so they had to make the decision, and they decided to fill the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. Now, again, the Dolphins were ranked as a top 5 defense overall.
Yeah, everyone's
last
gone.
Year. with patch players across the board. There's many games you're starting Storm Duck as your second corner, which right now he's still technically the second corner because they haven't addressed the position. But they got better up front. The front 7 for the Miami Dolphins on paper looks very promising. So Anthony Weaver brought the goods last year, even improved a unit from 2023. Based on statistics, got better. But they need to stay consistent. Can they continue to be a top 10 defense? Because that's what they're going to need, and that's what they're going to have to fuel to get this team to maybe sniff the playoffs next year. But obviously we're still so early in the process. But Kenneth Grant is a solid pick, and hopefully Chris Greer did get it right.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll see in a few years if he got it right. But I think, with all these drafts, I know people give out grades. I know CBS gave it a B+. I saw Pro Football Network gave it a C, which it's fair. I mean, it's all fair. I don't think either grade's unreasonable per se. But you kind of get a gut feeling like on this night, And after each night this weekend, what your team is. Did you take guys who are total projects? Did you take guys who are like more seasoned that you can put in there and play right away? It's like each guy is unique in its own separate way. I think with Grant, he's a plug and play guy, clearly, because you won as high as 13. But I do think there is, like I said, high floor, high ceiling. High floor, he probably won't be a bust, but also a high ceiling, which if he does clean up a few things, he could be really, really good. I heard on one of the networks tonight, he was compared to Dexter Lawrence, and that's probably a fair comparison, but he's going to have to clean up a few things to be that player. But if he turns into that player at 13, that's a good pick. And I think that's where the Giants took him, not exactly 13, but around that range, 13, 14, 15-ish. So I get it with why they did it. And I also think, again, with fans, and I said this all week on the show, you have to set your expectations. Just because you, Joe Fan, who never played in the NFL, has never been a scout and never done anything like that, you like a certain player or a specific player. If the team doesn't take it, that doesn't mean it was a bad pick. It just means the guy you like didn't get picked. And I think a lot of fans get themselves worked up. It's like wrestling fans when they see something. I want to see these two guys fight. And then it's time for the pay-per-view, and it's not those two guys fighting. Well, this sucks. Well, no, don't suck. You just didn't get what you wanted. It's like just because somebody wants somebody doesn't mean it's what's needed. So yeah, there's that. And we'll talk about what's in store for tomorrow. But first, shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also a shout out to our friends at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, iHeartRadio, Audible, or one of the other like 250 platforms are on, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss an episode. We're going to have these shows after each night this weekend. We'll have a show Friday night, and we'll have a show Saturday night breaking down the picks that Miami makes. And then we'll have shows all next week doing like recaps and doing more of a deep dive into each player. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. So right now, Cleveland's on the clock with pick 33, first pick of round 2. And Miami's at pick 48. So there's a lot of good players that did not go in round 1. And I'm going to read off a list of these names. We can dive around. And again, I'm just focusing on the needs. Nicky Manwari, everyone thought was a first-round pick. He was not picked in round 1 at safety. Another safety, Xavier Watts, Notre Dame. Most people thought he'd be there. He is. Kevin Winston, safety, Penn State. He's going to be there. Here's a shocker, and I guess all the reports are true. Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan, did not get picked. Do I think he'll fall to pick 48? Probably not. If he does, I'll take him, though, because there's a difference taking him at 13 than there is at 48. I'll take the risk at 48. Trey Amos, another. If it's not Will Johnson, I love me Trey Amos. I don't know if he'll be there, though. Cornerback, Ole Miss. The Florida State corner, whose first name I always say wrong, Azariah Thomas, Florida State corner. Probably he'll be in that mix. Here's another corner to keep an eye on. Benjamin Morrison, Notre Dame. If he did not get hurt last year, might have been the second or third corner picked in this draft. Coming off an injury, but really, really freaking good. Darian Porter, another corner. Siobhan Revelle. There are I just gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners. If Miami takes any of them, I'd be very happy. They took Nick Emanwari or Watts or Winston, I'd be very happy. Let's go to the edge. The kid from Boston College, once again, a little tough name for me. Donovan Izuruku. Everyone thought late round 1. He's still there, okay? And I don't care if he plays edge. If he's there at 48, you run that card up. That kid's a steal. Nick Scowerton, Texas A&M, edge. He's still there. Let's go inside to tackle. You want to fix that defensive line. You don't want to be soft. You don't want to get pushed around each year by the Bills. Take Alfred Collins. Take Shamar Turner. Take TJ Sanders. Take Darius Alexander. Let's double down and really fix the defensive line. You want to fix the other side of the line. Offensive tackle, Minnesota. Irsay. I always say that name wrong. The kid from Minnesota. And then at guard.
Oriente Irsay.
That's the kid's name. Thank you, Tom. Then you also got the kid from Arizona, whose name I'm probably going to say that one wrong. Jonah Salvina. And you got Marcus Embo, however you pronounce it, from Purdue. I just gave you like 20 names. 4 or 5 of them will have to be there at pick 48. So, Tom, out of all those names, first off, which position are you looking at? And at that position, I think I just nailed all the spots they're probably looking at.
Yeah.
At that position, which player or two would you like to see?
For me, I would love to see a defensive back here. Especially with the Ramsey trade, the news that there's a relationship that can't be repaired between him and Mike McDaniel. If that's true,
Oh, it's true.
you're gonna have to trade. You're gonna have to trade him. He's not going to be a Miami Dolphin. So you need to fix your defensive backfield, and you still have needs at safety. So I would be ecstatic if Nick Emmanwori was on the board at 48. I don't think he gets past 37, if I'm being honest. I think Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina, if he's still floating there, would be great. I don't think Will Johnson gets there, but if he's there, you absolutely run that card to the podium and you take Will Johnson, regardless of what's going on with the knee right now, because that's not what was flagged for him in the preseason. The knee issue popped up this past week, so would love to take Will Johnson if he's there at 48. But in the end, I think offensive guard, maybe a tackle convert, like a Jonas Saviena, could play inside. I think he would be a very good left guard. That would mean that Liam Eichenberg can get out of my life as a starting offensive
he ain't going to get out of your
lineman.
life. He's going to be on the team.
As a starting offensive lineman, get him out of my life.
We got to tell me. I'm ready to shut down the site.
This podcast is still teetering on its last legs here. If he's the starter going in,
fluid. It's fluid.
It's a very fluid situation. There's still a lot there, and
there's a lot of corners.
There is a ton of. And again,
if they want to go corner, someone's going to be there.
The way that this board fell on night one opens up possibilities that good players are going to fall into the Dolphins' lap at 48. Which again brings the question: is there enough players there for the Dolphins to say, someone wants to move up, I can move back a few spots, pick up some more picks, do what the Rams did. See if you could find maybe a pick for next year if someone wants to trade up into the second round. Find a first round pick next year. Find another second round pick next year. Whatever you got to do. If you could trade back a little bit, I would be open to that. I think there's still a lot of good football players to be taken, and the Dolphins can get a starter with one of these picks that are going to start coming off the board at 7:00 tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think with all those corners there, one or two of them will be available. It might be Ravel, it might be Porter, it might be Morrison. I think one or two or three of them will be there if they want to go that way. Again, though, you hear what Mike McDaniel said, you hear what Chris Grier said after the pick when they met with the media. It sounds like to me the mission statement of this draft is going to be big people on the lines. So if I had to bet a buck, I think they're going offensive line around 2.
Yep.
Salvino would be great if he's there. And Oos, let's get an Oos. If it's not him, there's other guys like the kid from Purdue, Embo. Trading down, it'd be great. And look, if they can add a pick next year, it'd be great because here's what's going on for next year. Cleveland, I don't know if they're going to take Sanders at the top of round 2.
I don't think they are.
Even if they are, now it's a round 2 pick, so you're not looking at them as like a long-term answer per se. The Rams, with old-ass Matthew Stafford, got an extra first. You know why they're doing this? Because next year's quarterback class is really, really, really good right now. The kids who are going to be in it are really good, and not just one or two. They're going to be like 4 or 5. And everyone's starting the teams that want a long-term answer quarterback because you got old-ass Matthew Stafford and they have to look at the future, or Cleveland, who is just trying to fix everything after the whole Watson debacle. They're looking at next year's quarterback class and we got to be ready because we want to get the guy we want, and we want ammo to move up and down. If I'm Chris Grier, and I know half the fan base is going to hate me, you got to start looking at next year's quarterback class because this sumbitch can't stay healthy either. And I don't care what the contract is. If he misses another 5-6 games, you got to pull the ripcord on this at some point. Or at least even if he's on the team for another year because of the contract, you got to start having someone in the pipeline ready to go. So if they can pick up ammo for next year, I'm all for it because next year's draft, it's going to be a rat race for those quarterbacks. There's 5 or 6 who, let's see how next year plays out. But you're going to have a bunch going around 1 next year. Okay, it ain't going to be just 2 like this year. You're going to have probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 going next year in round 1. It's one of those classes, which you get every so many years. So there's that. But yeah, trading down in theory is always nice, but you got to have
a partner.
Someone's got to want to move up.
Yep.
And we'll see at pick 48 if someone wants to move up. And if they do want to move up, how far back are you moving? Like, are you moving from pick 48 out of round 2 completely? And you're getting, I mean, that
would be a
risky.
first round pick next year.
Yeah, that would be that. But yeah, so we'll see. But I think corner, there's depth. There's going to be a few safeties. That kid Winston from Penn State, when I did this show with Dante Calinelli, we looked up the numbers. He played like 4 years at Penn State, missed 1 tackle, I think. Like, literally missed 1. Like, you want to talk about fundamentally sound? Someone who, when he gets his hands on you, he wraps you up and brings you to the ground. That's Winston. I think he missed like one tackle as a sophomore, missed none as a junior, and he got hurt this past year, so he didn't play as much. But he doesn't miss tackles is the point. So if you want someone like him, not going to be mad at that. And again, if they wanted to double down and put someone next to Banks, like a Turner, Collins, Alexander, TJ Sanders, I know some fans are going to be like, what are we doing? I'll tell you what they're doing. They're building a defensive line. Okay, that's what they're doing.
Build the trenches, baby.
Build the trenches. Now, a few things here, and then we'll wrap up. Ramsey, you mentioned a little bit of it. Here's the report. So there was a report out early today that had to be corrected because it didn't have all accurate information, but it was corrected. And I guess Ramsey just doesn't want to be here. And then there's a second report from Tony Pauline of, I think, Pro Football Network and about 5 other places that all the veterans are leaving Miami because Mike McDaniel seems to rub some of these players the wrong way. And they don't like playing for him, essentially. And is it a shock? No. First off, is it true? I have no earthly idea. Okay. But you do look at this roster and what it was in 2023 compared to what it is right now in 2025, and all the veterans are gone. Some of it not by choice because they ran off a couple, but some of the guys did have a choice, and they're just not here. So Ramsey just sounds like he's unhappy. Not shocked. But the expected trade value for Ramsey is a 5th-round pick. So if anyone thinks they're going to get a 3rd, that ain't happening. Could they get a 4th? Possible. But they're probably getting a 5th for Ramsey. And I know Chris Greer, when he spoke to me tonight, said they have no problem trading him prior to June 1st, which means this weekend. Because, just means this weekend, honestly. Because if not, then wait till June 1st and trade him for picks next year and have an easier cap hit. So I think we'll probably hear something Saturday on Ramsey. And if there's no news, that's news, meaning they're going to wait till June 1st. So that's the latest with Ramsey. Now, I want to ask you wild questions, Tom. And
Yep.
I know you're probably going to balk at it. And I know some people out there go, oh, my God, I can't believe you're even entertaining this. At pick 48, if Shedeur Sanders still hasn't been drafted, at what point is this just good value?
At pick 48, it's good value.
Okay.
If I'm being blunt, it's good value at pick 48. I don't see it happening. I don't
see it happening either. I think he's going to go.
I think the Browns, with one of their 2 picks, the Saints are sitting there. They need a quarterback as well.
Raiders. Tom Brady loves them.
So I think there's a 5% chance he's sitting there at 48. But it is good value at 48 if Shedeur Sanders is sitting there. I mean, it'll throw a little bit of the monkey wrench into what's going on, but I would be stunned if he was there at 48.
Here's our possible landing spots prior to 48. Browns at 33, Browns at 36, Raiders at 37. Tom Brady is extremely close to Sanders and Deion, and he's worked out with the kid too. So I think that if he's not on the Browns, I think I could see the Raiders jumping in. They got Saints at 40. And here's the next 2. Put on your seatbelt. The New York Jets at 42.
Yeah.
And then, how about this? The good old Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
The good old Dallas Cowboys. Jerry, Deion, don't worry. I'm taking care of your boy, Deion. Don't worry. He come here, pick 44. Come here. And then now you got the Rams at pick 46. If he gets that far. So I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 spots he could go prior to Miami. So look, is it happening? No. And even if he's there, I think Miami might pass on him too. Although you never know. But yeah, so that was obviously the story of night one, was the Sanders fall. And what was funny is, I don't know if I told you or Josh and Aaron ever, did you hear the story this morning about Jackson Dart?
No.
Okay. Remember last year when the Giants were on Hard Knocks?
Yes.
In the offseason one. And it was a whole story where Joe Shane's in there with his kid, and his kid's like, you better re-sign Saquon Barkley. He's too good. And his dad's like, okay, whatever. Because the kid's like 10 years old or whatever, or 12, whatever. I don't know. And then he asked his son on camera, what should we do in round one? And the kid was like just so adamant. He goes, trade up for Jaden Daniels. He's a once-in-a-lifetime player. You got to be an idiot not to trade up for Jaden Daniels. And then the kid's telling the father, he goes, you only have this job once. Swing for the fences. Go get Jaden Daniels. And then he said to your dad, okay. What did Jaden Daniels turn out to? What did Saquon Barkley do? So everyone's like, this kid's a savant. He's like a genius. Last night, Wednesday night, he goes on his Instagram, starts putting up a bunch of Jackson Dart highlights. Giants fans must have found this kid's Instagram and like, we're taking Jackson Dart. The kid must know something from his dad, and he's putting out all these highlights within the hour. His father made him take down all the videos and the highlights, and he locked his Instagram to private. People are like, oh, this must be that they're into Dart, or the kid's out there putting out stuff or whatever. Fast forward to tonight. What did the Giants do? Trade back into round one, take Jackson Dart. The kid knew something, and he was out there social media tipping the pick 24 hours in advance. And the New York City radio is going crazy today. Like, this kid knows what he's doing. He was on Jaden Daniels last year. He was on Saquon last year.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Also would not be a very good NFL evaluator if he's starting to tip picks already.
Well, he's only like a teenager or something.
Yeah, so no, I get it.
Or
learn.
Some fans thought this is reverse psychology. His father's not listening to him. So in a passive-aggressive way, he's putting out the highlights and be like, hey, Dad, take this guy. So people were reading into it. I just found it hilarious because Giants fans were like freaking out. He's tipping our pick. Now someone's going to take him in front of us. Or they're like, he's not going to take him, and the kid's trying to send his dad a message. I thought it was hilarious.
That is funny.
But yeah, Grant is a good pick. I give it a solid B+. A B+ pick, I think, is a fair grade. It's a B+ pick.
I'm in agreement with that.
That's a B+ pick, and I like it. And look, we're soft. We're a soft team. Players who played on this team say it. Players on opposing teams say it. Players who leave this team say it. And you don't want to be soft. You get big boys. And we'll see what they do with pick 48. We'll be back tomorrow night to talk about that. Everyone, thank you for listening. Be sure to follow Tom on Twitter X at DolphinsTalkTom. Please be sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, again, smash that like button. I want more smashes of the like button, people. And also subscribe to the channel. And tomorrow night, 7 p.m., we're going to be live again. And we're going to have a stream, and we'll stay on for a while. We'll be on through Miami's pick, or at least their first pick. And we'll have fun. And I'm going to give away more shirts that say, like this, Fire Greer. We're just having fun, folks. It ain't that serious at the end of the day. Or maybe I'll give away a hat. Or maybe I'll give away a Pilsner. I don't know. But I gave away a couple shirts tonight to some nice people. One person sent a beautiful message how they just lost their father not too long ago. And this podcast gets them through each night. So they got a gift, obviously. And someone else sent in a big super chat. They got a gift. And we will pass out more tomorrow. And also Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, $3 a month for awesome content that you won't want to miss. Everyone, have a great night. We'll talk to you again after a while. And when you're on the road Friday morning, no matter how you feel about the pick for Kenneth Grant, please be sure that we must put an end to highway profanity.
Fins up.
What if Jalen Milroe goes before Sanders? Wouldn't that be wild?
Oh, fantastic. Let's have it.
And the Browns love Milroe. I just saw that. Okay, now I'm into the show.
Let's go. I want the drama. Let's get
the drama.